put the problem of evil to the side for a moment. Let's get straight to the heart of Pamalogy, the logic of perfection. How did this universe come into existence? If you ask a cosmologist, you're likely to be told that some 13.7 billion years ago, there was an annihilation of matter and antimatter canceling each other out that was caused by the fluid fields in the vacuum of space, and that a big bang took place out of the random remainder between the two in some probability fluctuation. Have you heard that? I love Stephen Hawking, but this is not a course in quantum physics or cosmology. It doesn't matter to me whether you believe in an explanation like that or if you believe in an Earth that's just 6,000 years old, more intelligently designed. No matter what you believe, I have a question for you. If there was nothing, if there was no matter, no energy, no fields, if there was no vacuum, if there was true nothingness, what would there be? Nothing? That's incorrect. Even if there was absolutely nothing in any universe, there would remain, are you ready for this? All possibility. All possibility never changes. It exists with or without anything in any universe. It exists now. It'll always exist alongside every universe and any dimension in any condition. All possibility is abstract reality. Abstract reality is truth itself. 1 + 1 = 2. That never changes. This is a truth, and it doesn't matter if any universe exists to illustrate that it's true. Truth as all possibility does not require illustration. Much like perfection, it doesn't change because nothing can be added to it that it doesn't already include. Interesting. Now, we easily doubt the existence of perfection because we look for but don't find flawlessness. But all possibility doesn't require flawlessness. So we can at least agree that all possibility exists. It exists as the continuous and unchanging fullness of abstract reality. Perfection, as Pamalogy defines it, exists as a possibility within the total spectrum of all possibility. Perfection is a possibility. Let's think for a moment about some of the things that exist abstractly as part of all possibility. Is awareness a possibility? Yes. Is understanding a possibility? Yes, it is. Is sensation a possibility? Yes. Are you a possibility? Yes, of course. Is a sense of right and wrong a possibility? Yes. All possibility isn't just algebraic formulas, probability curves, and calculus. It's every possible and impossible thing. It's the totality of all possible and impossible truth. It doesn't matter whether any such truth has been realized in any physical universe. It doesn't matter whether there is a human or any other perceiving consciousness to think it or experience it. All possibility remains all possibility and all truth unconditionally and independently of what anyone thinks. Do you understand? All possibility thinks and possesses knowledge and understanding for itself in the way that truth itself possesses and knows all possible things. Its way of knowing is not limited to the way of knowing that people have. It's simply the totality of things that are and are not possible, and knowing the way humans do have knowledge is also one of the possibilities, but it's not the only way it knows. All possibility is a reality that doesn't change, and all forms of knowledge are part of all possibility. Now, in this reality is the knowledge of all that could be good and all that could be evil. In this reality is the comparison of all possible outcomes because it possesses the fullness of analysis, knowing all possible consequences. In this reality is all knowledge, all understanding, all awareness, and all awareness of potential human thinking and limitation. Limited ways of thinking are included in all possibility. Imagine being someone else for a moment. What you're imagining is a possibility. It probably won't happen in your life, but what you imagined is part of all possibility. Human thought is just one of many possibilities all possibility possesses. What about the realization of perfection? Is that a possibility? In the reality of all possibility is the knowledge of how to perform worthy abstractions, manifesting in as many universes as it takes every good outcome. All possibility itself does possess the knowledge of how to manifest perfection, not simply imagine it. And the list is endless. All possibility contains, in and of itself, the knowledge of all possible philosophical and religious systems, and the comparative analysis necessary to determine which is the best. All possibility understands the moral obligation that exists in possessing the power to perform abstraction, choosing what reality becomes. Let me slow down here and make sure you understand. Within all possibility exists both the knowledge of perfection, the knowledge of how to make perfection a reality rather than just an abstraction, and the knowledge of its own moral obligation to make perfection real. How then can perfection not be made real by it? It's obligated by its own understanding. Let me spell this out for you. Purely abstract truth can be separated into all possibility and obligatory possibility. Obligatory possibility is that which ought to be made real in the various dimensions of all possible types of universes so that perfection might exist, not simply in abstraction, but in as many universes and dimensions of universes as it takes for the full realization of perfection. Oh, yeah! All possibility has both the knowledge of how and the awareness of its moral obligation to make perfection a reality and not just a possibility. Now, nobody can answer how, technically speaking, in all possibility, any number of universes come into existence from pure nothingness. It simply follows that with the knowledge of how to do it, which all possibility has, plus the moral obligation that all possibility possesses and understands, that perfection is inevitable. Perfection, therefore, ever exists as reality, not just as pure abstract possibility. The one who finds evil to be a proof against the existence of perfection is arguing about the root of all things based on the presenting symptoms. The one who sees evil as necessary for the manifestation of all the more good is arguing about the presenting symptoms based on the root of all things. The root of all things is perfection. Now, I understand that this lesson is a real doozy, and it's a little longer than my other lessons, but I think it's worth lingering on this subject just a bit, particularly since it's very likely that I may have just blown your mind away, okay? I get this. And whether that's the case or not, I recommend that you replay this video as many times as it takes for you to have a major aha moment or two, okay? At this point, your level of optimism should be in a very, very high place, to understate the matter, right? Now, we're not finished. Let me seal all of this up with a few words that will help you remember what Pamalogy as the logical philosophy of perfection is all about. Little memory tools here, okay? First, there's the name Pamalogy. I've repeated it a couple of times, and it's something that should roll off your tongue pretty easily by the time you finish this course, okay? Pamalogy is short for polyastronomically maximized awesomeology. The polyastronomical part refers to many astronomies or many universes. Poly means many. I'll be making the case that there's not just one universe, there are many. There are as many universes as it takes to make real and not just abstract every good possibility. The second half of the word Pamalogy is maximized awesomeology. If you haven't figured it out yet, maximized awesomeness is synonymous with perfection. So I suppose we could have called Pamalogy perfectionology. Either way, it's the logic of maximized awesomeness or perfection. And in part 2 of this course, we're going to be talking about why perfection requires many universes instead of just one. Why it's necessarily polyastronomical. But before we move on to part 2, there's another helpful word I want to leave with you that your Pamalogy specialist will be testing you on, okay? So you need to remember this. This word describes perfection and summarizes today's lesson. It's an acronym. Are you ready? I'll show you, and then we'll talk through each word in the acronym. So here it is. Okay, yeah, you see that? It says here, Super Papa. Yep, that's it. Super Papa. Can you remember that? Super Papa? Okay. Now, the second half of this word, Papa, will be obvious, so let's start with that. Papa stands for performing abstraction polyastronomically. Performing abstraction polyastronomically, okay? Perfection performs every possible and impossible abstraction within the realm of all good and obligatory possibility, and it does so in as many universes or astronomies as it takes to accomplish every possible good thing. Perfection performs abstraction polyastronomically, Papa. So you got that part of the word. Now let's go on to the super part. Perfection can't be known or understood by human beings. In fact, perfection, being polyastronomical, is impossible to observe by any entities that have any capacity for understanding, that don't have access to the data of all universes or to the fullness of abstract possibility. Now, I'm not saying that there are no entities besides perfection itself that have access to the data of all universes, okay? Maybe it would be a very good thing if certain lesser great things did. But when it comes to the fullness of understanding that belongs to perfection itself, I would describe this understanding as self-understanding. Perfection is a self-understanding proto-energetic reality. It's super. Say what? What I said is proto-energetic reality. What's that? A proto-energetic reality is a first energy. And what energy am I talking about? I'm talking about whatever power, whatever mechanism, whatever method perfection may have chosen to make itself real, and not just an abstract reality in any and all universes and dimensions of universes. Perfection is the self-understanding proto-energetic reality, okay? It's super in that it includes all the goodness of any other proto-energetic reality as part of itself. So it's not lacking any of the goodness of those great but not wholly perfect realities. Perfection is the, and also could be a, first energy or first reality. It can be multiple, containing in its wholeness many great things, and it also is singular, the superlative totality of all that is and could be good. So take some time to remember this. Perfection is described by the acronym Super Papa. Okay? It is both a and the self-understanding proto-energetic reality. Self-understanding proto-energetic reality. Okay? Both. It is the and a self-understanding proto-energetic reality. performing abstraction polyastronomically. I want you to remember that, okay? It may take a while to soak in, but it's worth it. It's more than a mouthful. It's also the central tenet of Pamalogy, which we're going to be repeatedly going back to. So please do remember it, all right? We're going to return to the problem of evil in part 2 as we explore the best explanations for it. But we need to launch this discussion off the right way. We don't do the subject of perfection justice if we always analyze it based on presenting symptoms that we see, the evils in this world. Let's analyze the presenting symptoms based on the logic of perfection itself. It'll be a lot easier to gain certainty about the various explanations for the apparent existence of evils that way. So very good. Use the rewind button here if I've lost you anywhere. It's natural for your mind to wander in discussions like this. Don't proceed to part 2 until you've fully grasped part 1. Each lesson builds on the previous one. Will you agree to do that? Okay then. Now, assuming you're ready, let's move on to part 2. In our next lesson, we're going to look at some fascinating popular theories that may explain how perfection can coexist with what appears to be evil.